Thanks for tuning in to Topanga Sessions. I'm your host, Nick Stubblefield. I'm here with Colin. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Nick. Thanks for having me. I'm really grateful to be here.
I have to say it's so cool that I actually met you in Malibu at a buddy's place, and at the very last minute we had a cancellation, and our friend Jeff, was like, I got the guy perfect. Don't ask anything about each other. Like, just go ahead and do it. And, as we know with people we love, we trust absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then you show up here, and I'm just like, oh, man, that's so awesome. Because we talked about actually doing this.
Yeah. I can't remember. Do we also meet at the
farm?
ranch?
Yeah, the farm. Yeah.
So yeah, synchronicity and everything in its due time, and now's the time.
Absolutely beautiful. And keeping on this positive energy, we're going to talk about some pain and stuff that you still deal with today, but allows you to be the man that you are right now. And the story of the ugly duckling is how we're going to start with this, because I think we can all relate to feeling like we're the ugly duckling.
Yeah. It's that's the story I was telling you before we started. I had an experience where I was sort of cast as the lead in the kindergarten play that we put on for our school as the ugly duckling, and at the moment when the duckling looks in the pond and sees that it's actually a beautiful swan and has this realization, like, what? Like, I actually am, I'm valuable. I have beauty that is me. And so I had this experience where I was like during the play, I kind of like blossomed and got real big and open, and then ran in circles, flapping my wings around the auditorium for the whole school and everybody's parents. And it was beautiful. And, but then right afterwards, I had an experience with one of the other teachers she wasn't even my teacher at the time, but she kind of came over me and like loomed over me and delivered this message in a way that really made me like close up. I was really open and on a high and had this beautiful feeling in me, and she just kind of like chopped it all down. And that is, she was like, you're really quite a ham. And I didn't understand what it meant at the time, and I think
her delivery was what you call awful.
It was awful. It was horrible, man. It was like, oh, I don't even know what that means, but I feel really small right now. And that feeling of like, wanting to be myself and be open, but then also knowing that like people will judge me for that. And that's something that has made it really challenging to like really open up and blossom as an artist, when really I don't want to necessarily like impress or be the center of attention or get all the credit, but I just want to share and be happy. That's the thing that we go for, really. We do our artwork because it makes us happy and it brings us our healing. I tell people all the time that like I do songwriting work with people, and so people that I work with are not necessarily songwriters per se, but they understand that doing something like writing a song about the things that we're going through can provide us a sense of like healing and understanding for ourselves, and it's really for us. And then they're like, oh cool, I have this great song, cool, when are you gonna sing it? And then I'm like, wait, no, like you've got to sing it because it touched you first. This is meant for
That's
you
so beautiful
to do and have the experience of that healing. So yeah, it's I just ultimately I just want to share myself, because I feel that the world around me is telling me that I have something valuable to offer. And while I'm doing that, I just want to focus on, it's like, do I focus on doing it for other people, or do I focus on doing it for myself first? Like, what's my true purpose? What's like the right reason?
And it's really hard to understand, especially in this, I'll just say it as a tumultuous experience called social media. that we're constantly trying to. Actually, one thing, a quote I saw recently that was so sad that a artist actually put out was, uh, artists, people who actually create everything from like a sculpture all the way to music and everything in between are now called content creators. And I just think that that is such a aggressive, terrible way to almost destroy the beauty of why you're actually doing it.
Yeah, um, it's interesting. We commodify pretty much anything nowadays because I mean, obviously there are certain pitfalls in the world that we live in, and people's intentions or motivations are maybe not as like conscious as they could be, and we get sucked into being ruled by our like subconscious drive to you know be less uncomfortable. And the things that make us feel less uncomfortable are like when people around us validate what we're doing. And so now forget me creating something because I I grew from the experience of creating it. Now it's I create something because it's my product and I have to, because life is a business nowadays.
And it's so awful how, like, the term, what are they? Social media influencers. Like, I hate that term so much because I've met a few people, obviously we live here in LA, and they're like, oh, cool. I never really ask what anyone does because I don't care. Because that, even as you as an artist and me doing this, like, this doesn't define who we are. This is just something that we're passionate about, that we love. And the thing is that these people will ask what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'll say what, just kind of out of reluctance, or I'll just walk away, honestly. But and then I'll be okay, cool. Well, what do you do? Because I feel like you're either trying to, like, you know how LA is that. Well, who are you and what can
Who
you
are
do
you?
for
What do you
me?
do?
Yeah, what can you do for me, or what can I like use you for?
Is it financially viable for us to be talking with each other right now?
Well, it's funny that you say, Jim, because the thing is that, like, I've met these people and they're like, oh, well, I'm a social media influencer, and I'm like, first off, vomiting a little bit in my mouth, like, actually, like, but the thing about it is, I'm like, that does not define a single thing about you. All that says is you found a way how to commoditize what you do, and I think it's taken away all the joy and love of why you actually even started it.
Well, that's kind of like a risk that people take when they shift from, like spending their life working so that they can have fun into a place where what it is that makes you have fun, that can be your work, and that can be the thing that like supports you in life. And I mean, it feels like there's enough abundance in the world that everybody should be able to do what they love and what really, fills them up, and that everybody has a purpose for doing that, and that the world as a community, as a global community, as a universal community, that everybody can be supported to have their right place in life.
The thing about that, and I completely agree, is what's really holding everyone back, that I personally feel, is this concept of social conformity, of you at home, where we're always trying to put on the best light, and we're never really, it's kind of like life told you you're not allowed to talk about your feelings, just show your best self, and the fake it until you make it. But the thing is, until we actually allow our vulnerability to be our strength and actually open up, which is something that you're doing right now, and for you at home, this was really difficult for you to even like come on here and start talking about this. And I wanted to first say just thank you so much for being a part of this. But we have to no, you know what? I always use strong language, and it's just because I believe it's more polarizing, but no one has to do anything. Sure. The fact of the matter is that you can do whatever you want. But if you really want to start to like actually love yourself, which I find is very, very rare these days because we're always comparing ourselves to everyone, is to just start talking about the things that we struggle with in a safe space of people that we love. And that over time, the more that we, of the darkness that we let out, that means that's more room for light to let in.
Yeah, amen to that. Loving ourselves is absolutely a challenge because you said we're constantly comparing ourselves to people around us. And at some point, maybe there's a space where we can recognize that there's a little bit of ourselves in everybody and that we're all kind of one, human organism. And
I
so
100% agree.
yeah, and so having the vulnerability conversations, while it's very uncomfortable for the people having it, it's like going to the edge of who you think you are, and then just kind of going just a little bit further. It's like who wants to be uncomfortable? But if we're making an agreement with ourselves or setting an intention, like I've already said, I think a few minutes ago, that I just want to serve, I just want to give to the world. I don't want to be stagnant. I want to be constantly like expanding, but have the things that the places that I go and my energy gets to, I want it to have a positive impact. And so recognizing that, if I'm going to talk about something that makes me really uncomfortable, but like, God, I wish that I could every day. I wake up and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could just, tell anyone like my deepest, darkest, most intimate, pain points and secrets, because I want that release, because it feels like something that keeps me, held down or, imprisoned to a degree. I know that's a strong word, but
I actually truly look at everyone as caged in themselves when they're not actually speaking their truth.
Yeah.
Because they're too afraid to, because of what social conformity has done to so many people.
yeah, and now in the world of like social media and things that are seen as like worthy to be influential in our society, like I definitely have noticed that there's more space where this kind of vulnerability conversation, like the real stuff has more of a place and has more of a value. And on one side, part of me is like kind of like scoffs at it. I'm like, oh well, great, it's trending right now that people talk about their vulnerability and stuff, and so automatically that kind of like that thing that comes up in me that I always get tripped up over is like,
These type of conversations are also super hard too, so sometimes we get so caught up in the moment
Yeah.
that we are there. And a big thing that I want to share with you is the fact, and just you at home, is that as long as we are not speaking and being open to who we truly are, we're never going to be set free from the confines of who we are. I mean, as a child, I felt like my body and myself were two different parts. Like I was basically, when you're so lost and so hurt that you're literally feeling like you're inside your body and you are literally watching the world go by through this lens of this body. And it wasn't until I started to understand how I can actually start working on myself, start talking to people that I feel safe with doing it, and doing it in the right setting as well. And just the more that we do this, the more that we can live our truth and realize that actually our pain is what connects us. That's why I love doing this show so much, is no one realizes that everyone's like, we're all connected, and we all are connected, and it's actually through our pain. And the more that we connect through our pain and share stories like you and I are sharing right now, is it actually connects us stronger than any fun event we could possibly ever do, any conversation,
Right.
because it's time to open up the conversation of what have you gone through and this turns this pain into a healthy thing. This turns this pain into an ability to connect.
Struggled to talk about myself. That I think is where I get blocked, because at a young age I feel like some of my experiences with my family and maybe some of my peers like made me feel like it's, you know, I was called selfish and self-absorbed a bit as a child, like, you know, by my parents. And, you know, rightly so to a degree, you know. I mean, I can be really like, I can be selfish and self-absorbed and really into myself. And I think that maybe I wasn't really understood in a certain way for the brightness that I carry, and for the value that I may have to offer to the world. And it's challenging for me even to say I am a valuable person, because part of me will always associate me recognizing that, like, the very nature of what I do, which is sing songs and present music, means that everybody else needs to like listen first and not talk. It doesn't need to be about me. I'm going to be in the spotlight, and I have an association of feeling like me being really into myself is somehow causing like the ones that I love like pain or discomfort.
Man, I'm sorry that you are seeing it. May I, first and foremost, thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to talk about your parents, because one thing that I learned here in LA is we always look at our parents as perfect. We always think that our parents are literally infallible. They can do no wrong. Everything they do is right. But two things that are super important about this. One, they're human. That they do make mistakes, that they are not perfect, that they are going to really not necessarily do it right. And that's not even really their fault, because if you want to take another step back from there, you have to look at they're doing the best that they can from the people that they actually, from their grandparents,
Right.
and so on and so forth. And now in this beautiful time that we call, honestly, still this COVID experience in life, is people are now finally taking the time to look at themselves and see what we can do to make ourselves better, and finally start talking about our feelings in a healthy way.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good time for it. And I would even say that this time has been all time. I don't believe that there's ever, you know, that like now somehow magically, because of our life circumstances and what's going on in the world, that now is the time that we get to open up and have these conversations. But now is the time that I'm having this opening, and I'm getting
Very,
more.
very well said.
I'm getting more into I'm entering into the conversation, you know, and I'm like I'm showing up, and I'm doing my work, and yeah, to recognize that, like, this conversation has always been available and will always be available, because it's the nature of nature to grow and evolve.
Absolutely.
And our parents, certainly, they had their experiences, and our grandparents had their experiences, and, you know, like, ancestral energy gets like, it gets moved through family lineages and stuff, and I'm certainly grateful to be a member of the family and the timeline that I come from, to be having the conversation that we're having now, because I feel that it's, you know, it's healing on an ancestral level. And I am my parents' first child, so I'm the older brother. I have 3 siblings, and I've grown up with that sense of I need to be a good example. And I'm already, just by the nature of my existence, I'm a leader for my siblings, like for my little family tribe. I'm the oldest. I have, the most life experience in a certain sense anyway. And so I have to be setting this example and doing it. And it's highly challenging. It's really uncomfortable, and it gets me all wonky sometimes because, it's a lot of responsibility to be responsible for ourselves.
It's kind of like working out, though. Like, everyone thinks that everything's supposed to be easy, but the first step is still 100% more than what you did the day before.
Yep.
So it's a constant struggle, it's a constant battle, but it gets easier, and it makes life more beautiful for not just yourself, but for everyone around. Now, I want to say truly again, thank you so much for being open and realizing that you have a safe space to just be you and talk about the things that are really, really hard to talk about. And I'm so curious to hear, what song are you going to be playing?
I'm going to sing one that sort of encapsulates my experience around being out here in California, in Los Angeles. It's called Goodbye, Los Angeles. I kind of took a leap of faith with my life several years ago when I moved out west after a relationship had kind of fizzled out, and I was sort of transitioning and like finding new purpose and value in what I wanted to do with my life as far as my music has been concerned. And I was in Los Angeles for maybe 5 or 6 months or so. I was street performing. I was sleeping on a couch at a friend's house and a relative's house, kind of going back and forth, and just being the first time in Los Angeles and recognizing that this feels like the place to do what I want to do.
I completely resonate with that.
But I got really, really, really drained, and I felt like I was spinning my gears, and I decided I'm gonna go back to my parents' house and reset. I can't do this right now. And so a few days before I had decided to leave, I wrote this song that sort of forecast my leaving Los Angeles. So I wrote a tune called Goodbye, Los Angeles, and it's about kind of sitting with the knowing that things are on their way and things are changing, but also, you don't have to suffer yourself. You can, it's a big world, and you have love and safety everywhere. So you can leave for a little bit. Maybe you'll come back, maybe you won't, but at least for the time that you've had here so far, you know what you're going to carry forward.
Absolutely love that. Thank you so much, and thanks so much for being a part of this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick.
Of course.
Waiting on a change when you know that it's coming, it's never gonna get easy. Often what you know just makes the time move slow. And hoping for a break while your heart is mending, well, it's never gonna fix you. It's just the way things go. Hope really collects a toll. But when it's my time, I'm gonna tell about the lights that I left burning bright on the west side. Goodbye, Los Angeles, I know you always treat me true. Goodbye, Los Angeles, look for me whenever I come through, and I'll sing a song with you. Los Angeles, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, how I'll miss you. pushing your luck in all the four directions, waiting for the rain. Well, a dry spell mixed with your blind faith is not gonna make the climate change. But up in the canyons where the signal fades, courtesans be dancing. Oh, and you may find your center, your feathers are catching on the wind. Oh, now when it's your time, you gotta tell about the lights that you left burning bright on the west side. Goodbye, Los Angeles, I know you always treat me true. Goodbye, Los Angeles, look for me whenever I come through, and I'll sing a song for you. Oh, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, how I love you. Oh, and if I go on to Graceland or to the Southern Pole, I'll remember what they told me in Topanga, that halfway there, it's not nearly halfway anywhere. So you gotta keep on going till you get there. And when it's your time, you must tell about the lights, oh, that you left burning bright on the west side. Oh, Los Angeles, I know you always treat me true. Oh, Los Angeles, look for me whenever I come through, and I will sing a song for you. Oh, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, Los Angeles, how I love you. Waiting for a change when you know it's coming, it's never gonna get easy. Often what you know just makes the time move slow.